Once upon a time in the dry, sun-baked town of Willow Creek, there lived a man named Jake. He was an experienced hiker and loved exploring the nearby mountains. One summer morning, Jake decided to take a 3-day hiking trip into the wild woods, away from the noise of the town. He packed his backpack with food, a map, a first aid kit, and of course, plenty of water. He set off with a heart full of adventure. On his journey, he met a fellow hiker named Sarah. She was a young woman with bright eyes and a smile that warmed the coldest of days. They walked side by side, sharing stories and laughter. Sarah was new to hiking and was eager to learn from Jake. They decided to team up for the trip, each carrying a bit of gear for the other. As they moved deeper into the forest, they discovered a beautiful waterfall. The clear, cool water sparkled under the sunlight, inviting them to take a break. They filled their water bottles to the brim and played in the refreshing mist. Jake taught Sarah how to filter water using a cloth and some tiny rocks. They felt invincible, surrounded by nature's beauty. On the second day, however, things took a turn. A dark cloud covered the sun, and it began to rain heavily. Unprepared for the sudden shift in weather, they rushed to find cover. They stumbled upon a small cave that seemed safe. Feeling a bit anxious yet relieved, they took shelter there. As the rain poured harder, they chatted and planned their next moves to their dismay. They soon realized their water supply had leaked during the storm. Panic set in as they counted their remaining bottles. Only 2 bottles were left between them, and they needed to last for 2 more days. They knew they had to ration their water wisely. With some sinking hearts, they divided the water, each taking only half a bottle for the rest of the day. Feeling weak from lack of water, Jake came up with a plan. He remembered a survival tactic his grandfather had taught him. He suggested that they spend the day searching for a natural water source. Sarah nodded, eager to follow his lead. They left the cave early the next morning. Jake encouraged her to keep an eye out for signs of water, like fresh plant growth and animal tracks. As they wandered, the sun beat down on them, and the dry air made their throats feel scratchy. With each step, they exchanged words of encouragement to keep their spirits high. After hours of searching, they spotted a small trail leading downhill. Jake felt excited as they eagerly followed it. Down they went, but the trail quickly turned steep and narrow. Jake warned Sarah to be careful, but the thrill of finding water pushed them on. They slid down rocks and grasped at trees for support, the thirst driving them forward. Finally, at the bottom of the hill, they found a glimmer of liquid. It was a small pond, but the water was murky from the ground around it. Jake suggested they could try to filter it again. They took a break and slowly approached the pond. As they crouched near the water, something caught Sarah's eye. A line of ants marched close to the water, leading to a thick patch of bushes. Curiosity sparked. Sarah followed the trail of ants. Jake, feeling dizzy from thirst, stayed by the pond. Moments later, Sarah returned, her face bright. She had discovered a small spring hidden behind the bushes. The water flowed clear and fresh, feeding the pond. Jake couldn't believe their luck. They filled their bottles and drank happily, feeling life flow back into them. They celebrated their victory, but they couldn't waste time. They knew they still had to return to the cave. They set out with renewed energy, with their spirits lifted by their surprise discovery. As they climbed back up the steep hill, they heard a low rumble. The rain had returned, but this time they were ready. Jake and Sarah sprinted back to the cave, laughter filling the air as they dodged droplets like children in a rainstorm. They made it just in time, giggling as they entered the cave while the rain poured down outside. For the rest of the day, they stayed in the cave, sharing more stories and enjoying their water supply. They made a pact to always share their adventures together and look out for each other. The storm continued, but they didn't mind, for they had each other's company. When the rain finally stopped, they emerged from the cave, tired yet happy. They knew they were going to be okay. The experience taught them both valuable lessons about survival in the wild and the importance of teamwork. On the last day of their trip, they made their way back to Willow Creek, stronger and more connected than ever. They shared their story with friends and family, telling them how they survived 72 hours without water. Jake and Sarah knew they would cherish this adventure for the rest of their lives. From then on, they planned to explore even more, always prepared, always together.